Good day, my smart little souls. I fully trust if you clicked this video, there is a reason your intuition guided you to this magnificent message I got for someone today. And it is my intention that this message will help reflect clarity to you. So today's message is going to be a little different because usually I meditate every morning and I see a visual and then I unravel that visual and get a message. But today I specifically got shown something that was then later confirmed to me through a friend that experienced the exact same thing. It was just a different circumstance. So I wanted to share what I discovered. And it's not anything super profound, but it is great advice to follow during this time where all of the Aries energy is in the air. With this many planets in Aries, you can find yourself reacting to things without warning or spontaneously getting mad. Aries is a warrior, so you may find yourself in a war with someone else, but that doesn't have to be. And quite literally, you can win a war and never fight. So let me explain how. Anyone who has actually worked in customer service will know exactly what I'm talking about, or anybody that has kids. So I used to work in a restaurant many moons ago, and I will never forget this one experience I had. So this lady came in and she ordered, and me being me, I always tried to make conversation with anyone that I interacted with. I think it made my day go faster. It made the customer experience better. It was just a win-win. Well, I'm interacting with her and she's quite short with me. And she even complained later on that things were not going quick enough. Like, I put her order in immediately. And at this specific restaurant, everything was made to order. So we didn't have like everything on standby so I could get it to her as fast as I could. Your meal was fresh at this restaurant. So we got everything ready for her and I brought her food out to her table. And then she went off on me because we used these certain containers for our food, which at the time I had absolutely no control over. So, I don't let anybody affect my day because when you're dealing with the public, you're always going to have these type of people that are just having a miserable day and take it out on you. I just went about my business. And after she was finished eating, she came up to me and she apologized. And she was really sincere about it. And she just said, I'm really tired and I was really, really hungry because I guess her husband had been in the hospital and she hadn't been sleeping very well because they had nurses come in at all hours of the night. And she hadn't ate all day and she ran home real quick to change clothes and take a quick shower. And she was just stopping in our restaurant to get some food before she headed back to the hospital. So basically, she was just having a bad day. And she was really sincere that she didn't mean anything that she was complaining about. The only thing that had changed is that this woman had ate some food, okay? And anyone that has kids know that they can get hangry. But if you have snacks or feed your children, you get a totally different attitude. So today's message is going to touch on the paradox of self-care. Because what's best for others is when you become your best self. You are more likely to react to something if you are hungry, dehydrated, tired, stressed, the wrong temperature, or cramped in an environment. And if you take the moment to care for yourself, you can show up as the best version of yourself. And if you take care of yourself and meet these needs, you can be in the same exact scenario and the same exact environment, and it will not bother you. So a couple weeks ago, I took a small trip with a group of people, okay? And we carpooled, and so I rode with the group in this van on the way to our destination. Now, I had a lot of fun, okay? Because before we hit the road, we got the car. And before we hit the road, we stopped at a restaurant. We got some food. We ate. A filled up my water bottle. We had air in the car. It was a van. Everyone had their space. Everything was great. And we even decided to break up the driving so it wasn't put on just one person, and we decided to split the gas money. So everything was wonderful, really, honestly. Weather was great, couldn't complain. Now, there was this one girl in our group who did not want to participate in driving, and she actually didn't want to participate in paying for the gas. But it didn't even bother me because we had plenty of people to cover it, and I was just glad that she got to go and she got to experience everything. And really, the money and the driving was just a small thing of the whole entire trip. So it really, seriously, it did not affect me. We'll fast forward to the trip back home, okay? The AC stopped working in this van, and we had no idea how to fix it. We had no idea what went wrong. We were late checking out of the place that we were staying at, and we had a specific time that we had to report back to the place in our community to return the car, okay? And we weren't going to make that time if we stopped and ate before we left the town. And I did fill up my water bottle before we left, but, because there was no AC in the van, I ended up drinking all of my water. And then I had to pee on this trip, and I was extremely uncomfortable. And, I didn't want to just pull over and pee because we were already behind. So let me tell you, I felt like I was going to snap the entire car ride. I was so stressed, and I actually became highly observant, and every single thing someone did got on my last nerve. I was ready to scream. And all I could do was just keep telling myself, only one more hour, and then maybe only 30 more miles. I was trying to stay extremely positive, even though I was hot and bothered and aggravated, and oh my goodness. Now, everyone's moods were affected, okay? We were all grouchy because we hadn't ate. We had bad attitudes. Some of us didn't sleep well. And I was driving, and we were getting closer to getting back home. So I did mention to the group, I said, we need to pull over. We need to fill up the van before we return it. It'd be a great time to stretch, use the bathroom, and switch drivers. Well, this one girl that was on our trip that hadn't participated the entire time, she said some kind of little sly comment. And boy, oh boy, did I lose it, okay? It was so bad that the rest of the trip was silent. And I truly hated that I did that. I wish I hadn't reacted in that way. But I'm telling you, when your body is throwing signals out that you need to do something for it and you just keep dismissing it, you will react. So instead of being concerned with just rushing back as fast as we could, we should have actually taken our time because we were more than likely going to be late anyway. And we also could have prepared better that next morning. If we had done that, there would have been no way that she could have affected me the way that she did on our way back home. So my point is that sometimes we have to love ourselves and to make sure that we are fed and have our water and our proper sleep, and we're not too hot or too cold, and we're in an environment where we aren't overstimulated. And then we can rise to meet the situation instead of letting things rise in us. And this comes back to self-trust. Trust yourself when your body is telling you things. Trust that they are true and listen. And this goes for things like your boundaries as well. So this may sound strange, but I actually have a need for traveling, okay? I get moody if I am stuck inside for a week or two. Now, it doesn't have to be some extravagant vacation, but I work from home, so I have to get out and about every so often. So here's a little backstory about me. I dated a man back in the day, and when we first got together, I was actually shocked at how many vacations he took a year. He took a lot of vacations on his own, but then he also took a lot of vacations with his family. And I definitely was not used to that. Okay, my family did not take all of these vacations. I'm talking like they took 10 to 12 vacations a year. And I couldn't go on every single trip. I mean, he did invite me, but I couldn't miss my work like that. So fast forward, it was probably a year or two. We were into our dating relationship, and I got invited on a girls' trip. And I hadn't got to go anywhere in a while, okay? Now, he wanted me to stay home. And I honestly felt like he was trying to manipulate me in some ways, just by saying, like, if I loved him, I would stay home and spend time with him. And it just was making me feel like I was a bad girlfriend if I actually went with the girls. Now, I could have explained myself, okay? I could have clearly shown him that I hadn't got to travel in a while and that I quite literally need travel in my life. Or, I could have pointed the finger and been like, you took all of these trips last year. Like, I deserve this. But I didn't have to prove anything to him, okay? I didn't have to over explain. I didn't have to overreact. I didn't have to overcompensate. I knew in my heart of hearts that I needed a trip and that it would improve my mood because I would get to connect with my friends and I would get to see a different place and I would just get out of my environment. It would help me more in the end, and then I could show up for him as a better person. Because if I had stayed, I was just going to be mad, upset, resentful. I mean, I was going to be miserable. I would definitely knew back then I was not going to have a good time if I stayed. So I told him I'm going. And that's all I said. I didn't explain all of the reasons I needed to go. I just trusted myself that it was the best choice for me. And I had already rationalized it and settled in my mind that if he didn't like it, he could leave because all that meant was that he was not the best person for me. So if you are listening right now, do what is best for you. And you do not have to explain, prove, or reason to anyone why you are making the decision that you are for yourself. And you are not being selfish. You are being the best version of yourself. Now, there are people that are going to get triggered by that because they want to control you and to pull you down to their level. But by not explaining yourself, these people will weed themselves out of your life. It's a win-win. You lose the people that truly aren't supporting you, and you will gain people around you that want to see you at your best. And these people will not be put off by your power. Now, needless to say, I'm not dating that guy anymore. But honestly, proving yourself never works because those kind of people want to control you, not to see you thrive. Now, not explaining yourself can be hard to do at first because if you do engage in conversation with someone to prove why you should be able to do what you need to do for your best and highest good, you're probably in a habit of doing it. You're used to having to fight to do anything you want to do or making people upset when you try to do what's best for you. So if you do have this habit, I invite you to reflect on why you feel like it's selfish to do something you quite literally need, or that it's wrong to do something that you need to do so that you are able to show up as the best version of yourself. Now, I do want to make you aware of something as well. Your soul will speak to you during these times. Your higher self answers immediately. There is no hesitation. Your higher self has a perspective of your whole potential plan on this earth. But you're actually here on earth. So what happens and how this plays out is you get a clear answer. But then you will find yourself start to second guess it. And you'll start rationalizing in your mind why it's okay to go against what your soul spoke. So just be aware that that initial answer you get, that initial feeling you get towards something is true. And that is your soul speaking. So like, let's use my trip as an example. I definitely wanted to go. When I first got invited, it was a clear yes. But then I was like, well, I do have a lot of stuff to do around the house. Well, I could save money. Well, I never get to spend time with my boyfriend. I could spend time with him, I could second guess my point to the point where I don't even trust what my higher self was saying to me. So, my beautiful little rays of sunshine, care for yourself in all of the ways that you need, whatever that may look like for you. Because if you are going to be the best version of yourself to others, you must fill your own cup up first. Mwah.